The air inside the Grand Hall in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, was thick with anticipation. Hundreds of people had gathered to hear Ibrahim Traoré speak, the young soldier turned leader, the man who would become a symbol of hope for Africa. Cameras from international media lined the walls, notebooks were ready in the hands of journalists, and supporters filled every seat. The atmosphere was electric, yet no one could predict the twist that was about to unfold. Before watching this video, please let me know what your country is. In the middle of the program, as Traoré answered questions about politics, Africa's independence, and the future of his nation, a small hand was raised in the crowd. It belonged to a little girl, no older than 8, her eyes wide with innocence and curiosity. At first, no one paid attention. Security glanced around, unsure if the president would allow such an interruption. But Traoré noticed her. He leaned forward and nodded for the microphone to be passed. The hall grew quiet as the tiny voice echoed through the speakers, "Mr. President, who is Jesus for you?" The entire audience froze. Some gasped audibly, others exchanged uneasy looks. It was not a question about foreign aid, about military struggles, or about politics. It was a question of faith, a subject so delicate that most leaders avoided it in public speeches. The journalists adjusted their cameras quickly, realizing this moment could turn into a headline. People held their breath, waiting for what Traoré would say. For a moment, Ibrahim Traoré simply sat in silence. His hands folded, his eyes lowered. The little girl looked nervous, clutching the microphone with both hands, waiting for his response. Then, slowly, he lifted his gaze and smiled warmly at her. His voice was calm, yet carried a weight that made everyone lean in closer. "My child," he began, "your question is not small. In fact, it is one of the greatest questions humanity has ever asked. Who is Jesus?" The audience stirred. No one expected him to engage so directly. Some thought he would dismiss it politely, others thought he would give a short, safe answer. But instead, Traoré leaned forward, speaking with the tone of a teacher, almost like a father explaining something to his child. "Some see Jesus as a prophet," he said. "Some see him as the Son of God. Others call him a great teacher. But to me, Jesus is something more. He is not just a figure in history. He is a message of truth, of courage, of sacrifice." The hall fell so quiet that even the sound of cameras clicking faded. His words carried a depth that resonated far beyond religion. Then, after a pause, he continued with conviction. "Do you know why the rulers of his time feared him? It was not because of his miracles. It was not even because of his words. It was because he stood fearlessly in front of empires, speaking the truth, and never bowing down. That is why his story still lives today." Gasps rippled through the hall. Some clapped softly, but most were stunned into silence. They were not hearing the voice of a politician, they were hearing the voice of a man who dared to connect Africa's struggle with one of the most powerful stories in human history. Traoré then turned his gaze to the crowd, his tone growing stronger, almost like a commander before his army. "In Africa today, we face the same test. Will we bow down to those who try to control us, or will we stand like Jesus, with truth, even when it costs us everything?" The audience erupted into applause, but Traoré raised his hand gently, signaling for silence. His face grew serious once again. "Do not clap too quickly," he warned. "Think about what this means. Because this is not about me. This is about every African child, including the one who just asked me this question. We must all ask ourselves, do I have the courage of Jesus? Can I carry the truth, even if it brings me suffering?" The little girl tilted her head, still holding the microphone, and with the innocence of a child, she asked another question. "But, were you afraid when I asked you?" The audience chuckled softly, charmed by her honesty. Traoré smiled and let out a gentle laugh. "Afraid? No," he said. "Surprised? Yes. Because sometimes the smallest voices carry the biggest questions. And this, my child, is what true leadership means, not giving speeches to crowds, but being able to answer even the questions of an 8-year-old with honesty." People in the crowd nodded. Some wiped their eyes. The hall, filled with soldiers, elders, youth, and intellectuals, suddenly felt united in a rare moment of humility. But then came the words that shook the room to its core. Traoré's voice dropped lower, slower, each syllable heavy with meaning. "Listen carefully. Whether you are Christian, Muslim, or of any faith, Jesus belongs to you. Because his story is not about one religion. It is about humanity. It is about standing with truth against lies, with courage against fear, with light against darkness. And if Africa learns this lesson, if Africa learns to love truth more than lies, and courage more than fear, then Africa will rise." The hall exploded in thunderous applause. People stood to their feet, clapping, cheering, some even crying. Journalists scribbled furiously, already knowing this moment would make global headlines. The little girl blushed, overwhelmed by the attention, but Traore bent down, reached out his hand, and shook hers gently. That single handshake, between a leader and a child, symbolized something far greater than politics. It symbolized a new kind of leadership, one that listens to the innocent, honors the truth, and dares to connect faith with freedom. Outside the hall, the story spread like wildfire. Videos of the exchange went viral within hours, shared across Africa, the Middle East, Europe, and America. Commentators debated his words. Some praised him for his courage and wisdom, while others criticized him for stepping into dangerous territory. But one thing was certain, no one could ignore it. For those who were present in that hall, the memory remained unforgettable. They did not just witness a political speech, they witnessed a moment of history. A little girl's innocent question had unlocked a truth that echoed far beyond Burkina Faso, a truth that reminded the world of the power of honesty, courage, and faith. And in the end, it was not the military victories, nor the political debates, that defined that day. It was a child's voice asking, "Who is Jesus?" and a leader's answer that shocked the world, leaving behind a story that would be told for generations. Thanks for watching this video. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more videos.